Alright, this video is going to do a pretty basic walkthrough of what you need to do to install running boards on your W164 Mercedes ML 350, 320 BlueTech, 320 CDI, 350 BlueTech, 550, etc., etc. This car has factory, just plain plastic rocker panels. We're going to be installing an aftermarket running board kit. I already did the other side, learned a lot. This particular kit does not come with instructions, so I figured I would make a video just to help out anybody else who might be in the same situation as I am. So, basic overview before we start. In the rear wheel well, excuse me, let me grab my light. In the rear wheel well, we have two push clips. One right there. There's one buried back down in there. Those, use a tool that looks like this on. You can get that at any Harbor Freight, auto parts store, or something like that. Basically just dip the finger in behind the middle tab, that pulls out, and then you can go in behind the entire piece and that pops out. Again, there's two there. If we go to the front, there's three up here. Again, a little hard to see, but they're there. And then, if we go under the truck, see, we've got, I believe it's 5 of those. Yeah. Those are 10mm plastic hex nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's way off. There are 7. One more up there. Yep. Anyway, so those are the basic nuts and bolts of removing the factory rocker panel. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all those and come back after that. Alright, so I've got the hardware removed. The 5 or 6 10mm plastic nuts on the bottom, the 2 plastic 2-piece clips in the back, and the 3 in the front. What you want to do at this point is pull down on the inside lip of this rocker panel so that it comes over the nut studs, and just leave it there. After that, you want to open both the doors. This gives you a little bit better clearance, because what happens when you take this piece off, you want to pull it down and around, basically pull the bottom out towards you, and there are clips all along the inside, right about here. Quite a few of those, and they will just pop loose, but they have to pop loose at a certain angle. So once you start pulling, I would start at an end. Start pulling, you can see in that gap, and you'll see the clips I'm talking about. Just yank it off. Doesn't matter if you break them. Everything in there is getting replaced with new hardware from your kit. Alright, I started pulling it off. I figured I'd just show you with one of the clips. That piece is on the plastic, basically, core that's attached to the rocker panel of the vehicle, and that slides in, refocus, to that receptacle right there. Basically a snap clip. You're undoing those, so pulling as straight as possible out toward you. Just keep pulling it and the entire side skirt will come off. Okay, so that's off. Now at this point you can close the doors again for a little while, and I'll show you the next pieces of hardware you'll be removing. Grab my torch here. So along the bottom, let me refocus so you can see better. These are 10mm metal hardware this time. These you want to make sure you do not strip, because this is where all the load bearing will be on your new running boards. You'll notice that only every other is used. That's because Mercedes knows vehicles without running boards from the factory don't need to be, as robust there. So they give you the provision for it, but you're going to undo all the ones that it has. those plastic core pieces will just pop right off, fall onto the ground, and I'll pick up again once those are off. If you've made it this far, you should now have a rocker panel-less W164 sitting in front of you. Down to the bare studs here. The old rocker panel, which is in the middle right there, so we just pulled off. This new piece, or in your case maybe a subtle variation of it, is what will be going back on. At the bottom you're going to see basically the beauty plate down here. That's just a plastic and a very thin aluminum piece that sits over this big thick aluminum core here. And this is the piece we're going to be installing right now. There's also a third piece that covers in between the two jack points. We'll worry about that a little later. I'll get to it. But right now I'm going to pick up this thick aluminum core. I'm going to set it on the car. Okay, so that aluminum core we were just looking at, it's just slid on over the studs right now. Nothing's attached. In order to make sure it fits properly, I would open the doors just to pop it on there. It'll fit without it, but you greatly reduce your chance of nicking the paint on it if you just open the doors for that. Should slide pretty conveniently over the studs on the top, and you may have to give it a firm little push on the bottom just to get it to clip over underneath. These, you're going to be using a combination zinc washer and 10mm nut. It's got a little bit of a grip surface on the back, so these seem of okay quality. The rest of my kit's kind of questionable. Hopefully yours fits as good, if not better, than mine. But for now, take a washer and a nut, thread them all on there by hand first, and then take a, I guess if you have a little cordless impact, that works pretty well. Otherwise, just make sure they're snug. Not too tight, you don't want to break the studs off, but you don't want them falling off either. Alright, so I've got all 10 of those hand tight, and I've got a little 18-volt impact, so I'm just going to pop onto each one, give it a very slight tap. Do that all the way around the edge, and then give it a good test at the end to make sure it's all tight. After that, we'll move on. Now the fun stuff really starts to begin. We're going to take this skin here and put it on this core. You can again do this with the doors shut. I'd probably open them just to make sure you've got a little bit more clearance. It's not going to fit straight away perfect. Once you've got it sitting on there, I usually try to either work from the front back or the back forward. I don't want to start in the middle. You certainly can. I don't think there's any reason not to explicitly, just to make sure that the holes, the plugs in the top of the running board line up with these holes, especially the middle one, because it doesn't have any room to give or take. So I'll get that slotted on there, and we'll look at the clearances to see how they look. Just finishing up the last couple of clips. This has happened to me a lot. There's a plastic tab on the beauty plate, and that lighter colored metal piece is supposed to be attached to this plastic piece, and then it's supposed to slide as one unit into the bracket. But they like to separate and back out. So what I've found is best to do, just remove that insert and bend the teeth a little further down so they dig into the plastic better, and then reinsert, and it seems to fit pretty well. So I'm going to do that, pop these last two front ones on, and then we'll take a better look up front and in back. Here we are on the back. There's one hole for the two-piece push pin. There's the second, and this is actually in a different spot. There's also a third one that's not fully punched out back here, up here, that fits in through here. This one's very important, so I used a pick to just push through it, and there's actually a two-piece. This is the back section, front, and then it goes through this middle membrane. That piece is really important, so make sure you punch that out and use one of your new or one of your original Mercedes ones. Actually, they work pretty well. Those two-piece push pins in through there. My fitment back here is okay. It's not better than that. There are 5 plugs that look just like this, fit in all the way along the running board. Then there's a pretty coarse head screw that goes in through the bottom and taps into it to hold that down. This is a fitment I've seen a lot better. The customer brought this kit to me with the vehicle. I would normally install an original equipment Mercedes running board just because the fitment is perfect. You can pop it on and you're ready to go just straight away. But I make it do with what I've got. So in the front, the holes actually line up pretty well. This is even better than the other side. There are 3 holes and they're all pretty well open. Don't worry about anything on the bottom of the running board for right now. So right now, just pick up 6 of those 2-piece push clips and go to town. Make sure it's all aligned properly because it really does make a difference. I'll come back after I've done that. Okay, so the front 3 are in. As are the back 3. The top one and the bottom one buried way back there are actually connected to the vehicle. The third one doesn't really serve a purpose on this kit, which is why it doesn't exist on the factory skirt either. I left it in. It doesn't really make a difference. Next step, I'm going to get those 5 rubber plugs and fit them into the tread on the side skirt. Getting these things aligned is kind of unfortunate, but getting them in there right now and just letting them sit is important because the rest of the work we're going to be doing underneath, and it's all about alignment. So making sure it fits as well as it possibly can. But it's starting to look like a vehicle with side skirts, so we're making progress. Okay, so I have all 5 caps in. Took a little persuading. The middle here actually wanted to buckle up slightly, so I took out this 5th one and was able to basically fit the aluminum underneath this pinch a little bit better. Now it's sitting flat, so it should look okay when we're done. Now, getting to the underside. Refocus. Alright, so we've got a lot of these. I forget if it's 10 or if it's less, but we got these threaded studs coming out of the vehicle. There's going to be a plastic piece. It's really hard to see. This is the 3rd main plastic piece that came with the kit. That slides right up top and it bolts down with those plastic 10mm nuts. With the kit, beyond that, you've got these smaller screw holes in the outside soffit area. This is where the coarse thread screw in the black washer goes up through it and actually attaches to the underside of the plug on the running board skid. So this takes a little finesse just to get it to align. You'll definitely feel it when it goes. Then this plastic, this entire piece, sorry it's close quarter video, it's hard to see. Refocus. Comes back and slides underneath. There's a metal ridge under here. So this whole piece comes back and slides in, much like that. So you'll just come along, press it in. It takes some force, but it's not too bad. Just snaps in. Once that's done, I'll come back and we'll finish it up. But that's the main 2 remaining steps here. Well, I guess I did a couple steps at once. Once I got the 5 plugs, all screwed in from the bottom, which was quite the ordeal. That middle one, I think, is probably the hardest part of the entire project. Getting that to line up correctly and take the screw. But they're all in and happy. This plastic channel here, if you have the same kit I do, which is maybe not that likely, none of the holes line up except for just the one on the end. So what I do is I just push it up there and slide it back and forth a couple times. That leaves an imprint on the plastic piece where the nut needs to end up. It's pretty close to the hole, but you will have to notch it slightly to get it to fit. And this one is probably the furthest away. So yeah, the quality of this kit is okay. The fitment is, I'd say, quite poor. You can make it work. It just takes more time. Once you've got those installed, you can then move to the jack points, which slot in the four corners in these areas here. They're optional, but I think it's a good idea, especially because you don't want to hit your brand new running board with a jack and ruin it. Beyond that, though, you've got a vehicle with running boards. So enjoy the hundreds and hundreds of dollars you've saved from the dealer by doing it yourself, or if you're doing this for somebody else, they owe you some beer. Yeah, it definitely does improve the look of the vehicle over the factory plastic rocker panels. There you go. Hope that helped you install the running boards on your W164.